So I would like your views. Number one, on this stimulus package, what is it that they would have done better? And two, do you agree about this demand factor being the crucial thing and how we can service that demand factor? These two questions is what I would like to ask.
Doctor, if you look at again the benchmark quarter of the fourth quarter of 1920, by that time you had 2 or 3 sectors that were faltering. One was, of course, the aviation sector. One was, of course, the automobile sector. These were all faltering. And then the cascading effect was coming on steel, then on cement, and so on and so forth. That whole thing, telecom is in a disaster because of policy matters. So each one was in a regulatory or in an economic or whatever mess that it was there.
Yes.
Now, on top of it, you had this COVID. So which virtually meant that people had to keep their, and it's basic economics that whenever people are petrified, they don't go and buy a car. They don't go on a holiday. They just try to shore up cash and try to say that whether tomorrow I will have to spend on my medical or my food or whatever stuff. I don't know about whether my employer is going to pay me for the next quarter, whether company is going to survive. So everybody is in a state of unsure, confusion. So in that, the demand has to generally pick up, and it is classical economics that the government has to step in and start spending so that it becomes the engine of growth. Now, the problem here is twofold. Now, just let me tell you that today, if you take a classical case, doctor, you would have come to Chennai, say if you drive from Pundamalli to the main city, Chennai, there is a expressway, which is the Madurai Expressway started in 2006. Now, we are in 2020, it is not yet complete. For a variety of reasons. Now, an expressway which is supposed to connect the port, Chennai port, to the outskirts of the city for 23 kilometers has not been completed for a variety of reasons. But this morning, somebody told me very interesting that they have not yet found the landing space near the port. So they have started the project without identifying where the project should land. And the Navy has to actually vacate a quarters, they have to demolish it and they have to give it. And this is going to take another 3 to 4 years. Now look at it. Who bears the interest cost for this? Okay. I know this project would have cost, say, 800 crores in, say, 2006. Today, with interest, it would be 3,800 crores. Now, if you're going to add toll, which is now going to service 3,500 crores of your project cost, this is going to become unviable. Meanwhile, the Madras port has collapsed. And there are 2 other ports, Kattupalli and Ennore port, that have come in nearby, making this project itself redundant. So you see how we are managing this. I gave you one example. Unless we come out with quick fix solutions for our project, anybody, doctor, suppose you are my competitor company who is on a infrastructure, I think all that I have to do to dynamite your project is to go to the Green Tribunal and get a stay. And that's for taking. Now, unless we fix this, we are not going to fix the infrastructure. So the infrastructure itself is a big problem. And the third biggest problem in the infrastructure is PPP. Now the PPP model has run its full course, and it has now seen that unless you have some sort of inbuilt regulatory mechanism for solving the issues, it is like a Mia Bibi husband-wife relation. Unless there is going to be a daily arbitral system, we can't do it. But now coming to this is all what I'm saying is not releasing of the pent-up demand or not actually adding up to the demand. So if you expect MR Vintage to go and buy a car, forget it. The only way government has to start spending, and by which the trickle-down effect has to happen, that's how people like us are going to spend. Now on the package, you wanted my comments. I would say, doctor, there has been of this 3 lakh crores which they gave it as a MSME or 20% top-up loan, that has fairly worked in some pockets. I must say that it has come out well in some pockets, but in some pockets it has not come. So it is also depending on whose balance sheet was bankable as of 29th February 2020. It was not like what Ramesh points out, that every Tom, Dick and Harry gets this top-up. This top-up is subject to an inbuilt understanding that your balance sheet is bankable. That means you were not in the brink, but you were much, much higher, and the bankers choose. It is not automatic. Right. The third point, this will be shocking, and this is what one of my friends called me after seeing the promo of this program. Till date, his organization has listed, they are from Tirupur, and they have listed that 2,951 amendments has happened to the GST in the last 3 years. Now,
Can you repeat that number, MRV? Can you repeat that number? What?
Oh, okay. I will tell you. It is 2,951, close to 3,000 amendments to GST.
My
Okay, daily there. So the whole-time job of promoter or an almost like that. So you can have some mind-boggling numbers: three per every, or 3.5 per working day. So something like that is happening. So we and income tax, comes out with 150 amendments every year. So the whole-time job of every single entrepreneur is to do compliance, not do protection. So as now, it looks like we are facing a constitutional crisis where the center is refusing to pay the states on what is supposed to be the due under the GST, because it was calculated using the Excel and stating that 14% will be the compounding every year for the next 5 years will pay you, and it was done at 8% growth and 6% inflation. That was how that magic figure of 14% was arrived at. But now that the growth is neither 8%, neither is the inflation, even further bad, like the inflation is not at 6%. So what I would suggest, and I think this using your program, Dr. Swami, I would use you and urge you that probably if you think this suggestion is valid, you can write to the PM. For the next 1 year, don't collect GST from anybody who is actually selling goods. That would give cash flow to the firms who will actually get. So that is an incentive for me to sell cars. That will be incentive to sell motorbikes, cycles, tractors, cement, steel. So that the more I sell, the more I will take money from the people and keep it in my hand. That will help me to generate cash flow in my system and charge 7%.
Good suggestion.
Because I cannot go away. I cannot run away. I am. You have all my details. You have caught me by Tuft. You know everything about me. So if 1 year later, if I'm going to default, you can generally catch me as you do a tax defaulter or a tax cheat. But this 1 year, if GST is liberalized, after all, when central government can renege on its promise, how can a poor Annamalai and Sons or Gupta and Brothers, come up out and pay to the government? Now, as far as the government is concerned, as far as they to pay the state government, I think it is left to the wisdom of the GST Council to sit down and whether they have to borrow from RBI, which is flush with funds. RBI is flush with too much of money, and they can borrow it, and they can definitely give it, and that is an arrangement they can do. But to revive economy, I thought not collecting GST from anybody, GST holiday, meaning you are not saying that I'm giving a waive off. You are just giving a cash flow benefit at 7%. I think this will be a very good move forward because everybody is demanding this now.
Okay. Well.